Hey everybody, welcome to episode 83 of Making It. I'm Bob Clagett, here with David Picciuto.
How are you doing?
There was a big delay there. Did you
There was
forget?
a delay because I forgot what my new opening was. I had a brain fart.
And Jimmy Diresta.
Hi. I can't forget that. Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm having a hard time looking at myself with my clean-shaven face. I think I'm growing my beard back tomorrow.
Just you can do that on demand.
Yeah,
just like
I just gotta
tomorrow,
hold my
I'm gonna
breath
have a
really
beard.
hard, and then my beard pops up.
Well, put it in a video.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Superpower.
Oh God, I'm so used to seeing myself with a beard.
You do look strange. That was the first thing that came to mind when you popped up in Skype. I'm like, wow, you're shaving.
I'm not going to shave again until I lose probably about 7 or 8 more pounds. You see that? I got these squirrely jaws.
For those who can't see, Jimmy's showing us his excess skin that he thinks he has.
Ever since I was a kid, I could do this. I could pinch right behind my jawbone and pull out. I got really stretchy skin.
Cool. Well, what's new other than not having a beard?
Me, I'm upstate today. I'm upstate for a couple days. I am trying to get some work done, working on some videos. I just put out my hammer video, which was fun to do. And I played a little bit with some drone shots, although it really isn't applicable, but they're in there as interstitials. So playing with my drone. Again, I borrowed that drone from a friend, so he hasn't needed it back. So I'm just learning the drone so I could teach him. I got my hammer video out as my 700,000 subscriber thank you, and that's doing well. And working on 3 or 4 videos at one time. So ultimately they'll all be done, and I'll be able to put out a whole bunch of videos at once. But I've been stretching a little bit. I've been stretching in between weeks, putting up old videos from the Make channel, ones that have been over 3 years up everywhere else. And so it's good because I get a good reaction, and I thank people who are listening for that, because I put it up and I expect everyone to start yelling at me for putting up old content. But there's a lot of people on my channel that still have not seen these things. So I'm going to keep doing that slowly as these videos become old elsewhere, and they'll be new on my channel. So
Nice.
that's fun. And then I'm upstate, just getting the house ready, and just always maintaining the house. And if anybody's ever refinanced, they got to jump through a million hoops to do that as well. So dealing with a lot of that. Just getting a refi on my mortgage. It's a lot of fun.
But since we talked last, your Core 77 built-in video came out.
Oh yeah,
That came out really good.
Thank you. It really fit. I couldn't believe it when I put it in there. I was like, me and Willie got everything up into the apartment, and then we were kind of like, I was avoiding the obvious. I'm like, put that thing in the corner and see if it fits. And so when I finally put it in, I was like, much to my relief, it fit nice, and it had a nice 1/2-inch reveal up the edge, and yeah, that was fun. I'm going to be doing some more work in that apartment as well, so probably more videos coming. The woman is really, really sweet, and she was happy. So I had to go back and do a couple touch-ups, but nothing complicated. Yep.
Cool.
So.
And then did you, in the video, say that you caulked it to the wall so
I did.
there wouldn't be any gaps? Yes?
Yep. Because, when you fit, typically when you put something flat against the long, broad, sheetrocked wall, the 2x4s kiss out slightly. So, if I did a long shot along the back of that one long seat back, the sheetrock wall would scallop in 3 or 4 times. And so I caulked that all in with just a painter's caulk. And I probably should have done that as part of the video, but I just wanted it to be done. I had so much footage on that video. But the way to do that would be to tape. I taped it all in, caulked it, wiped it. And then I let it dry for a couple of days, and then I went back and I touched up the paint and everything.
Cool.
So, yeah, it was fun.
Well, since last time I put out the wall hanging guitar amp, and that was fun. Even got to jam on it a little bit at the end of the video. And then this week I am working on more cutting boards. So the next project video will probably be some sort of cutting board video, so I can 2 birds, 1 stone type of thing.
Oh,
Nice.
By the way, I'd like to just let everybody know that David Picciuto's bandso book was in Rockler, right? Is that when I texted you guys pictures a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
That was the Lee Valley catalog, I think.
Oh, was it Lee Valley? I forget. And the thing I found most interesting about it is that like, you're in the middle of like the tool section. You weren't even like in the back where they have all the books. So I was like flipping through and I'm like, oh wow, check it out. There it is. I know that guy.
Yeah.
I know that guy.
Congrats on that.
It's been fun. It's still selling. Seems to be selling pretty well. There's a little like each chapter has like a little thing saying go to this secret URL and fill out the form, and I'll send you the templates so you can get PDF templates so you don't have to like photocopy the book. And every single day I'm getting people filling in that form, and it seems to be doing good. Should have a royalty check coming pretty soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice when those come.
Mm-hmm.
Few and far between.
I like paying bills. I mean, I don't, but I do.
Yeah. What's wrong with you? You like being able to pay bills.
Yes.
Well, for me, I made an outdoor sink. So several years ago, a friend of mine was redoing his kitchen, and I helped here and there on his kitchen. And it was really an impressive project. Like he gutted everything and then found out that the joists underneath the floor were messed up, and he ended up pulling up the entire subfloor and cutting the joists and replacing the joists. And so for a long time, his kitchen was just like a hole down to dirt. Anyway, long story short, he did this kitchen, and they pulled out their stainless double sink that was pretty old, and they were going to toss it. And I was like, hey, let me grab that just in case I end up doing a sink in the backyard. So it's been sitting on the side of the house for a couple of years, maybe. And last week I finally made a stand for it. So there's like a double sink and a little section on the side so we can put some plates or food or whatever we're doing. And yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. It was interesting because it's a steel frame painted white. And so there's metalworking, woodwork for the surfaces, all the side panels and the bottom and the top, and then some basic plumbing just to get the drain hooked up and the water feed hooked up. And then I ended up sewing some curtains for the front of it to cover the front section. And so I had to figure out how to sew really quickly and badly, but it's done. So
That's awesome. Like the only thing it's missing is like basket weaving or something to add to it.
I'm just anticipating the well, why isn't there an Arduino hooked up to it comments? Because those will come,
Dishwasher.
But, yeah. So it's funny because it just drains. So I have the double sink. They're connected to a single drain line, and then it just drains into a bucket, 5-gallon bucket that I have underneath it because there's nowhere for me to drain anything to. So I'll be interested to see what the response to that is, because I think some people will probably be like, think that was the cheap way out or whatever. Given where it is, there's literally no place that I could run a hidden hose to be able to drain that out to where that, wherever it drained wasn't like a place that my kids were walking through or something, or the dogs, So, but it works really well.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see. Before we get going, I want to thank our Patreon supporters. Everybody that supports us on Patreon, every little bit is awesome. It helps us continue to do this, which is great because we are all busy, and it takes a lot of effort for the three of us to get here, at the same time every week. And even though we want to hang out, we're not doing other stuff that pays us. So
I can't believe I keep showing up. I haven't completely forgotten about it.
Believe me,
I almost always
we can't believe
do.
you show up every week as well.
I almost always forget. Crazy.
Especially, though, I want to thank Make, Build, Modify, John Cornwell, and Luis Gonzalez. They're our top supporters over there.
Thank you, guys.
They have been for a long time. So, awesome. Thank you to everybody who helped us out there.
Thank you.
And if you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/makingit. Or you could just leave us a review and a rating and tweet out the shows and share it with somebody that you know has never heard it before.
Also helps very much.
Yeah, definitely. So this week we got an email that I thought was really cool, and it was from Adam. And basically he was talking about wanting to take on a second job, making some stuff. And he has an interest in, woodwork, but he wants to do some metalwork and casting and electronics, just other stuff. And basically the question was, do you think there's value in going to school to learn those things with the availability of YouTube and all the other free resources out there, that teach? I mean, what we do, we inspire and teach people how to do some of this stuff. So the question was really about, like, what's the benefit of schooling in that situation? Mm-hmm. And, do we think it's important? Do we think it's valuable? What do you guys think? Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, right away what comes to mind, and I've had this conversation with students of mine over the last 20 years. They're thinking about leaving school, or they don't think they can learn anything, or, it's a financial decision, of course, that needs to be negotiated within your own family. I urge to stay in school, go to school, and the most important resource you have at school is other people, meeting other people and being exposed to other people that could inspire you. When you work alone with a computer and YouTube, of course, you're definitely getting somewhere. But when you work with other people that inspire you, say, hey, maybe you could do it this way. Or, hey, you know what? I got a friend. Let me introduce you to my friend. Or we're getting together tonight. Come along. Those little instances are really the most valuable aspect of being in a school setting, is my opinion. And when I think back of the few mentors that I have and have learned the most from, they're all people that I learned from and met directly or indirectly from school. Friends of friends that were teachers, and classmates that are ongoing friends and mentors and inspiration. So I think it's really important to be in a pool with a group of people.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, oddly enough, I was thinking about this not too long ago. I was thinking about, in relation to my kids, who are relatively far from college. I'm sure they'll be here very quickly. But, thinking about when they get to the point where they're going to be asking me about going to college, what's my stance on that going to be? And, like, what's the thing that I want to convince them is valuable there? And so I thought about some of the same stuff you just said. But one of the big things, I think, in general, about going away, leaving your home and going to college, which is not what everybody does, but I think that's what I did. And so my experience is that in that situation, you're stepping away from a lot of the stuff that you're comfortable with, and you get in a place where you have to figure out how to make yourself comfortable again. And that has a lot to do with relationships. Like, what kind of people do you actually want to be involved with now that you're not, like, forced to be involved with your family?
Right. Or, socializing is a huge aspect of, getting into a career or an industry and learning about it and socializing. And, I noticed I had to force myself to socialize when I was in college. There was parties and gallery shows, and I never wanted to go to any of them. But when I did, I was always happy that I did.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, forcing yourself to be in a place that you don't necessarily feel like you should be is usually a good thing, because you get exposed to people that you wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise if you stay in your own circles. I mean, I know that anytime that I've stepped out, and we talked about this, I guess, a few weeks ago, anytime that I've stepped out and put myself in a place where I don't really belong, good has come out of it that I didn't expect. But as far as the educational aspect of it, you said exposure, and that was the word that I had written down, because I think for me, going to art school, I mean, I guess the same applies to non-art school, but I think in terms of, in art school, you have to take your first year or 2 years are foundation classes. So you have to do, life drawing. You have to learn how to draw the form. You have to do still life. You have to do art history, this kind of foundational stuff that everything else is built on. Once you get closer to your major, if you're going to be a painter, you have to learn how to do color before you can learn how to really paint. And that stuff is, a lot of that foundational stuff has played a huge part in what I do now, because they're things that at the time I didn't really have any interest in, or I wouldn't have thought, hey, I should learn how to, work with, I don't know, aluminum, just like tin snips and aluminum. I should learn how to make a sculpture out of that. I wouldn't have thought to do that on my own, but I was forced to do that. And so now I have a different understanding of those materials and, that method. One thing very specifically that stuck out there is color theory.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I had to take a lot of that.
I hated color theory when I took it. And it was one of those, like, I know what colors are. Why do I need color theory? And then I came out of that class going, oh, I get it now. I understand why it's important to understand how things are relative. And, it gives you a perspective on, well, if this is the palette that I'm looking for, I can look at a color wheel and figure out the colors that work there, just because it's a lot like music theory in that there's these relative patterns that are all in place. And by changing one note, you get a different set of relative patterns. Same thing with color.
And learning classical scale, scale and as far as scale and composition, I get complimented on a lot of that stuff, and it's directly from having long conversations in art history and, working with my drawing teacher on a lot of this stuff. So,
yeah. But a lot of that stuff, I think the big thing about school in relation to those things is that you just wouldn't have put yourself there to learn that otherwise, unless you absolutely had to. I wouldn't have gone looking for color theory information.
Never.
But now I know it. And so when my wife at the paint store says, I like this color and it'll be in a room next to that color, I can go, no, that shouldn't happen. But what do you think, David?
I was going to go the pro school route when we started this conversation, and I think I'm gonna switch just to have the counterpoint. And although I agree 100% with everything you guys said, it's like the networking, the friends that you make, the connections, and everything that all helps you down the road. Taking those classes that you would not have taken, and how it can affect your life is fantastic. But that being said, I think we can't tell somebody whether or not they should go to school or not go to school. It really depends on your personality. Like for me, at that time in my life, I'm glad I went to school. I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't. But it was also a major source of stress, because at that time in my life, I was very socially awkward and shy. And so going to school every day was just like this really hard thing for me to do. But it actually helped me get over some of those socially awkward things that I had going on. So it really depends on your personality. Another thing that I noticed while in school is a particular class only moves as fast as the slowest person. And that always drove me absolutely bonkers. Just because maybe it's not one person, but there might be a couple of people who are a little bit behind, and it slows down the whole class. And that, I always felt like I could have got so much more out of it if the pace would have kept going. And then another thing is, we, at least here in the United States, we have this financial issue with going to school. Like if you go to school and get a bachelor's degree, you are in debt for the next probably 30 years of your life, if not more. And so it's, once again, it all comes back to like what fits you. We live in a time where we can learn just about anything that we want online. Another alternative is maybe not going to school, but finding somebody to learn direct one-on-one with. I found a woodworker, a master woodworker here in the area a few years ago, and I just took a 6-week course with him. It was just me and him, and there was nobody else in the class to slow it down. He was there to answer questions. He was there to teach me safety, and it was just hands-on. So, maybe you can find somebody to just learn one-on-one with, find a mentor. Even with Facebook, you can still make those connections. Facebook search is so underutilized. So in the search, you can say, show me people in Toledo with the interest of woodworking, and it's going to spit out all the people in the area with a public profile that like woodworking. And you have the opportunity to reach out and say, hey, do you guys want to start a meetup? Woodworking's not huge in Toledo. Would you like to meet up and have coffee sometime and maybe, share ideas, become friends?
Yeah. Swap sawdust.
Sawdust.
I think a lot of, I agree with you to a point. College is definitely not for everybody, and I wouldn't, he's asking this question. That's why I think we're responding to him. I am, at least. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of it comes down to like, what is it you're trying to learn? When I was thinking of it in relation to my kids have 4 kids with very different personalities. Some of them, I think most of them will enjoy college. I think one of them might not. But that has a lot to do with personalities and what they're trying to learn. And I think if you're going, from high school directly into college, the social stuff is a big thing that you're trying to learn, whether you know it or not. The exposure, to the basic kind of fundamental stuff is something you need to learn, even if you don't continue down that path of study, But if you're not coming out of high school looking to learn those things, like say one of us decided, and I don't know, maybe Adam, who's asking this question, maybe he's in our place in life and asking about going back to school. He's got probably all the friends he needs. He's got the relationships. He's got all that stuff. So that may not be what he's trying to learn. And so it's possible that, college is not the correct fit for, if he's trying to learn a trade, maybe a trade school that's a lot more focused on a specific set of skills, maybe that's the way to go. But I think a big part of it is just deciding what is it you're trying to learn specifically, and then what's the best way for you to get that information, not take on a loan for 4 years of college just to, learn how to design furniture, because maybe that's not what you need. I get a lot of emails. I don't know if you guys get these, but a lot of emails from high school students asking, they say like, I want to do what you do, or I want to make things like you do. What kind of college should I go to, or what kind of classes should I take? I have no idea how to answer that question because I didn't do any of that in college.
We made this up.
I know. Yeah, it's like I'm figuring out every single day. I have no clue what to tell you. But I also think and my response to them is, it's really not up for me to be able to tell you that. I mean, I couldn't tell you that because I don't know what you're trying to learn exactly. You say you want to do what I'm doing. Does that mean you want to make videos? Because that's not the same thing as making furniture or making, those are two separate skills that I've just worked together. But I think each individual has to figure out, what they're trying to get out of it and then chase that thing.
So here's my question for all of us then. If somebody wanted to do what we do, and we all do sort of the same thing, although slightly different, what skills would they need? Bob, you go first.
Ooh. I mean, I've said this before. I think the biggest thing that you can learn, the most useful thing that you can learn, which is what college is often to people, is learning how to learn. And that was what college was to me, was learning how to seek out the resources I need to solve a problem. And so it wasn't that I really needed to know how to do life drawing. I wasn't planning on drawing naked people for the rest of my life, but I had to do that. And part of that is, I've got to learn enough anatomy to be able to draw this particular muscle correctly. Okay, how do I learn anatomy? Well, I go look at this type of book. So I'm learning how to learn what I need to know to solve a particular problem. And so I think if somebody is trying to do what we do, working backwards from the problems that you're trying to solve and just being okay with putting in the work at the beginning to learn the stuff you need to know to do the thing you want to do. I should turn that into a t-shirt. One time, Einstein said, somebody asked Einstein like in a lecture, this may be an urban legend, I don't know, but like what the atomic weight of some element was, and he was like, I don't know. And they were like, what? You're Einstein. Why don't you know? And he pulled out a periodic table and he was like, it's right there. Why do I need to know that?
Right.
And that always stuck with me because it's like, if you know how to find the information that you need, you don't have to know how to do everything.
Right.
And I think that's pretty big.
Saves room for storing important things.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been having this conversation, actually, interestingly enough, with Wanse, my summer intern, who came to me through YouTube. He offered to come and work for me from Korea. He came and spent 4 weeks with me. He just went back home. But he now wants to do what I do. He's never in his life made anything. He's actually an opera singer. He went to college for singing. But now he wants to learn and do what I do for a living. And I said to him, if you want to do what I do, which is make stuff, all kinds of stuff, he's never had the passion for it till now. And I said, it's not going to be easy for you. He's 25 years old. I said, you didn't spend a lifetime making things. I said, what you need to do now is instead of waiting to stand in someone's shop and watch what they do, You need to just say, okay, I need a napkin holder. I'm going to make a napkin holder. Make a napkin holder with whatever it is, resources you have available to you. If you got to make it out of paper with glue, make it. But I said, you need to make something every day, even if it's just a paper plane, fold it up. You got to do so. You got to learn the dexterity of using your hands and your eyes to coordinate and express the thoughts that you have in your head. We immediately make that SketchUp drawing in our head when we want to make something. It's not quite clear. We don't know how to translate it when we make what we make and compare it to the original thought. It never looks the same. But you have to learn how to make something every day. I said, every single day, make something. If it's a box of ice cream sticks and glue, like I said a couple of days ago, or if it's building a model out of a kit, or if it's building a balsa wood airplane, I said, you're starting from zero. You have to learn how to make something every day. You have to challenge yourself every day to start to develop your skills. And that's my advice to anybody that wants to do what we do. And when I look back and I really think to myself, have I spent the last 40 years every single day making something? And I agree that making a coffee or making a sandwich is making something. So when I look back and say to myself, I can honestly think that I probably made something every single day for the last 30 years. I mean, I grew up making things, so it wasn't out of the ordinary for me to make things when I was a young teenager. So the point of making is that you just need to submerge yourself in it. You can't just wait to go to someone's shop to watch how they do something and then you try it. You got to just jump in and grab something and make it. And if you say, oh, I don't have a shop, then go to Home Depot and make something in the parking lot. Buy a chisel and buy a hammer. Mm-hmm. Nice. There's no reason to wait. It's not going to magically come to you. It's like you have to climb that mountain. The only way to get to it is to start putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. And you just made a point. So you hit your quota for today. So you're done.
Okay. I'll see you guys. Thank you.
I mean, you said you were making something every day, and so you made a point.
That's it. Good. Oh, good. Oh, okay. I thought I was going to turn my mic off. Take a nap.
Yep. See you, Jimmy. David, what about you? What's your answer for that?
So I'm finding out that what you need to learn is make efficient use of your time. And what that might mean different things to different people, but what that means for me is my video editing software, I'm using Final Cut Pro, is that I learn how to use it the fastest way that I can, because I shouldn't be spending 8 hours one day editing a video. I should be spending a couple hours. And then that translates to, other software, email, how to efficiently handle email. And I probably don't get nearly the emails you guys get, but I many times just feel overwhelmed with it. I'm like, because I keep putting it off, and then I batch it all out at one time. And then the more I let it pile up, the more it stresses me out. So, and then I think the other thing is, I don't know if it's something that can be taught or if it's just something that you have to open yourself up to, is the mindset of just being open to putting in the work, having the mindset to be open to find creativity in things you wouldn't find creative, just like allowing creativity to hit you, just wanting, you have to really, really want to succeed if you want to succeed. You have to feel it in your gut. And I don't know if that can be taught. Maybe it can. Maybe I learned it from reading all the books that I've read. But it's mindset and efficient use of time. Can that be taught in school? I don't know.
Well, efficient use of time definitely can. It's not, which is unfortunate, but it definitely can. I think the mindset stuff, is maybe less about. I think having a good work ethic feeds into a lot of things at a kind of low level, and so that's part of that. But I think a lot of it is people settle on what they think they should do, or what they think will probably be a good job or a good career or a good next step. Like they think, well, what I'm doing now is not really that fun, so this, pharmacy school, yeah, that sounds cool. I'm kind of interested in chemistry. That might be all right. And then they go down that path, and then they get down that path, and they're like, "Oh, this is so much work that I don't want to do." It's not so much work that I do want to do. It's work that I'm just trudging through for an end that I don't really want that much. But I think if we can figure out how to teach the younger people who are coming up and not to that level yet, teach them that, like, if you can find a thing that you just love doing, work towards that. And that doesn't mean that that's going to be your career, but you can justify all sorts of other hard work to get to the thing that you actually want to get to, you know? So like in this case, I love being able to make things and being able to make videos about it. And so I'm willing to put in that work. It doesn't feel like work to me. It's stuff I have to do to get to an end that I want to get to, but it's not like I'm every day going, "Oh, I got to go to the shop again and cut some wood and make a thing." Whereas my old job, making software for somebody else to do a job that I don't really understand, you know, that's somebody else's job, that was like, I have to write code that just checks a box that does, you know, something that I don't really, it's not fulfilling at all. I guess the kind of opposite perspective there is that I was doing that job which I wasn't really into to pay for my free time where I could do this, you know. So there was a transition there. But anyway, I think helping people find the thing that or learn how to look for the thing that they actually care about, I think is not really enforced, you know. Mm-hmm. And then it's just like I said earlier, you find that thing and then you work back from it. How do I get there? Like, what are the things that I have to do that are not going to be fun, a lot of work, but will allow me to do the thing I care about?
Yeah. It's not easy if you discover this late in life. It's just not easy because, like, you know, you guys were able to make the transitions because you had good jobs and you were able to kind of overlap. Growing up, I never understood when I was with other people. They didn't know what they wanted out of life. You know, should I do this? Should I be a chiropractor or should I go sell suits? You know, there's a friend of mine who had many career paths. He's doing very well now as a doctor. He became a chiropractor. I mean, I know that's a questionable calling him a doctor, but he's a chiropractor. Let's put it to you that way. And but growing up, he had like 7 different like potential. Okay, this is what I'm going to do for my life, and he had a hard time finding himself. But I was always lucky enough to know that I could just build something, go work on a crew as a carpenter, building houses, or I can go and always get a job with my dad, you know, when I was very young in high school. Or, you know, I worked at a florist and I was the guy that made stuff. So when we had weddings and stuff, I would make the wedding trellises and all these things. So it was easy for me to know that I could always just trade my physical work for a pay, regardless of what it was. But as I got older, I started to develop a passion for doing it and teaching at the same time. And so I was lucky enough to kind of be in the arena. So it was a very slow, steady build for me. But it's tough. It's not easy. And getting back to Wansei, my summer intern, he wrote me an email last night and said, how can I learn how to be an electrician and a carpenter? And I said, considering your age, and the best thing for you to do is go to school. And I sent him some schools in America where, I sent him to the Bennett Street School. I sent him a couple of websites of schools. I was like, if you just go and do the courses here, that would be a good launching pad for you to then become an intern or an apprentice with somebody else after that. But so it's, in his case, I think a good circumstance would be to go to school because it's all packaged right there. And again, it's not everybody's case. He's also trying to integrate into the American culture. He wants to come to America. So it's hard for him coming from a completely new country. And then if he went to school, he would have all those contacts. I'm sure he would make some long-term friendships as well.
Speaking of that, one of the interesting things about, I don't know. Like I said, my only experience is art school. But the school that I went to here in Savannah is an international hub for artists. And so the people that come to the school, I'm sure SVA is probably the same way, people come from literally the entire world to go to the school. And so while I was in school, I got to be exposed to not only a bunch of different types of art
but people
and technique, but people and religions and cultures and attitudes and haircuts and all sorts of stuff that I just had never ever seen. And the cool thing about that exposure was that I got to be friends with so many different types of people that then after school, they redistribute either to where they came from, or they go get a job in a big city, or they go start their own company or something. So I literally know people all over the world. And that's all from going to a school.
It's a really
in
good
a place
point.
where
I had the same experience.
Hub.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah. And so it's awesome. Like we were in, David, when we were in San Francisco, I was like, oh yeah, my friend works at Pixar. And I remember you saying like, how do you know people that work at all these places? It's because I went to that art school, you know?
Yep.
So I think that's huge, you know, and maybe that's not the thing that everybody needs, but that is a huge draw, and you know, not every college is going to do that for you either, but.
Yep.
You guys got any other thoughts on school?
Is there anything that you wish you would have taken?
I wish I had taken advantage of, not specifically, but I wish I had taken advantage of the opportunity that was there more. I focused a lot on the computer art stuff, but looking back, there were furniture classes that I just didn't even like go near. There were textile classes, which, man, that would have been cool, you know, to learn how to sew in college from like a professional. So there's a bunch of that, just other skill foundation classes that I could have taken advantage of, but instead I was like, well, I'll just take another Photoshop class. You know,
yeah.
I totally need that.
Another way to, if you're, you know, people are on the fence, take night classes. That's what I did at first, because I very much did not pay attention to the way things were supposed to go. And when I decided I want to go to art school, I didn't know anything about it. I went there and I knocked on the door, and the office said, oh, here's a catalog. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go to night school. And it wasn't until I was in night school, going to a couple classes, that I learned I can actually become a daytime student. I was like, oh, how does that happen? They're like, oh, go talk to these people. So I didn't really know what I wanted in the beginning. All I know that I should be in a school environment, at least to start getting some regularity with what I needed to start to learn. And so I went to night school at first, and then that led to a full-time enrollment as a full-time student. And then getting another time I took evening classes was with my dad. My dad wanted to learn photography, and he was a little nervous to go on his own. And he said, if I take these night classes, will you come with me? Will you be a student with me? I said, sure. So it was a great learning experience. He and I went to photography class together at a community college for learning how to use the camera and doing film developing and stuff. That was a lot of fun. So that's another thing. Just go to like a local community college that offers night classes, and whatever it is.
Yeah, like the photography thing, I had to take a photography class as well. And that's one of those things where there's a lot of physical resource there that you probably would not be able to afford on your own. You know, I mean, just like having a photo lab and all the enlargers and all that stuff, you're not going to go buy that stuff to try it out.
Yeah.
But you also said regularity, which is another big thing that some people really need and some people don't. But some people need the schedule of having a class that's a dedicated time that you sit down and learn. Some people are self-starting enough, or, you know, undistracted enough that they can do it on their own. But that's just another thing to consider, like what works best for you and for, you know, the attention span that you have or the amount of focus that you have given your life. A lot of times our lives are just so busy that it won't work for us to learn unless we are forced to be in a place where we're undistracted.
Yeah.
So
I did find that it does help if you want to go to school, because I barely graduated high school. I think we talked about this in the past. And I mean, I barely graduated. And then I didn't go to college until maybe 5 or 6 years later, after I realized, hey, I don't want to work at Kmart the rest of my life. And so when I went to college because I wanted to, it was for the most part fun, and I got really good grades because I wanted to be there.
Yeah, I was the same way. I got out of high school. I didn't know what I wanted. I worked at a sign shop, and I've talked about this. And then when I got into a fight with my boss, I walked out and quit. I was like, what am I going to do now? And that's what forced me to go to college. If I didn't have that fight with my boss and quit on him, like in an angry tone, we actually had like kind of like a little like argumentative match. And I just said, all right, I quit. And I walked out, and then I went home. I was like, what am I going to do now? I was like, all right, let me try and join the school. I took a train, went to the School of Visual Arts, and I signed up for night classes because it seemed to be the easiest in, like I just said. So I was in the same boat. I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. You know, I knew I could make things, but I didn't know that it was a career path. I just knew that I could make money I wasn't thinking long term. All I needed was beer money. That's all I was thinking. Isn't, I was a stupid kid.
We're all stupid kids. Cool. Well, I hope that helps with Adam's question. And
Probably
Adam,
just gives Adam more questions.
That's true. Sorry, Adam. Let us know what you decide, Adam.
Yes.
That would be cool. And best of luck if you do go to school. Or don't go to school. Best of luck. What have you guys been watching? Anything cool?
Yeah, so there's a somewhat new YouTube channel called Fix This, Build That. It's really, really well done. Woodworking, DIY stuff. This guy, if you follow a bunch of people on Twitter, you probably follow him. He's got a huge Twitter follow, or not Twitter, Instagram.
Instagram.
and Pinterest.
Let's just name all the social networks.
Yes. No, he's awesome on Instagram. And he posts regularly. He posts the most beautiful photos, and they're just really good. And he's done really well on Instagram as well as Pinterest. And now he's getting his feet wet in YouTube, and they're really well done. It just translates well. And I don't know what he has now, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 subscribers, but I got a feeling this is going to be one of those channels that blows up big time.
Yeah, he's a nice guy too. Brad is his name. Yeah, he's cool.
Right on. I just want to push. I may have pushed him before, but my buddy Scott is getting me out of a very big jam. We bought something on eBay in Texas, and the person who was going to pack it and ship it for us quit. So now we bought this. We bought an Aga stove, and it's sitting in San Marcos, Texas. And my buddy Scott is going to go there and fix it up. So I just want to say thank you to Scott, and then go check out his YouTube channel, Uncle Mullet, and tell him Manny the Sock Puppet sent you.
I'm so confused.
In the comments.
Yeah, I'm super confused.
No, Manny the Sock Puppet is a little character that he and I used to joke about. So if you go to join Uncle Mullet's YouTube channel, just say that phrase, and I think he'll get a big laugh out of it. And then I also want to say one other thing that I've talked for years about doing classes up at my house. Taylor and I are ready to pull the trigger on our first class, and there's only going to be 8 slots. And I haven't set a date yet, and I know that the time frame will be somewhere in October. And what it's going to be is a tintype photography class. And 2 of my friends that I met when I was in Colorado are going to come to New York. We're going to spend a weekend at the house, and we're going to do tintype photography. And there's going to be about 8 slots. So if anybody's interested in that, email me, and I could. We haven't nailed the price yet either. For the weekend, it's we kind of have a general range. So if anybody's lukewarm on that and you're curious about it, email me. And
that's so cool.
It'll be a tintype photography class with me and Taylor and my 2 guys. I don't have the information here in front of me what their website is, but I'll give it to you guys afterwards. You can put it in the posting. Yeah. So anyway, those guys will be teaching tintype photography, and we'll be using old cameras, and we're going to do a little bit of a workshop on modifying cameras to do this photography process. So if you
nice, that's awesome.
Me. Thank you. Yeah. So we'll see where that goes. It's going to be the very first. There's no garage or anything. We're going to do it in the house and in my little workshop. So we don't have the building or any of that stuff yet. So
I want to email you now.
You guys want to come? It'd be great.
Do podcast hosts get a discounted price?
I think so. You guys could be the behind the scenes guests.
Sweet.
For sure.
So I have a podcast that I want to recommend. I did this interview for a podcast a while back, and the episode just came out, but I had a lot of fun talking to these guys. Podcast is called Real Surfers, REEL Surfers, and they talk about movies and TV and a lot of nerd type stuff that I totally identify with. And so yeah, they had me on, and we just talked about YouTube and movies that have made an impact on me and stuff. It was a lot of fun, a really good time, and I've started listening to their show since I found out about it, and I enjoy it. It's a time for me to get away from like the making end of things and just be in my nerd state. So
Jimmy totally distracted me. He's drinking coffee right out of the carafe.
Taylor just snuck in and gave me, because she knows I wanted coffee, so she said, here, take it all. So she brought me the whole carafe. But I am drinking out of a cup. I'm just kidding around. It's too hot.
Cool. Well, I guess that's it for this week, unless you guys got anything else.
Oh, I talked to you guys the last couple of days. I bought the Osmo. It's right here in front of me. I got it. So I bought that. And the other day I went to the camera shop. I bought a new tripod. I spent some money on some new stuff. I bought this, and I bought the Polaroid Cube just to experiment with it. It's kind of a cute little camera. And I got home, and what is my luck that the DJI and the Polaroid Cube both are broken. They both don't work. It's a $150 camera and a $600 camera. Neither one of them work. And I went right online with the DJI, and the problem, like the camera would you turn it on, it would wake up. It would be like, oh, hey, what's going on? And it would spin around, flip, and bang into itself and then not do anything. And I quickly Googled it, and right away there was hundreds of people who had that same problem, and they're trying to get tech support. I was like, well, I'm not getting tech support. I'm just bringing it back. So I brought it back right to B&H Photography, and they said you could get a full refund, or you can just replace it. We'll just give you a new product. And so I bought 2 new products. I said, what is the likelihood that 4 cameras aren't going to work on me today? So I got them both back. I replaced them within a few hours of actually making the initial purchase, and they both work. So I have the DJI Osmo, which is the little handheld camera, and I'm playing around with it. It's fun. It's fun.
It's a cool camera.
Yeah,
it is. The audio, just for anybody listening, the audio is pretty awful on it, the onboard. And so getting an upgraded mic of some sort is really useful. And I also found that there is in the menu settings in the app that runs this camera, there is an audio menu that you have to scroll down to, and you can actually change the gain. And so the audio is just really quiet, so you need to bump that gain up to get a usable audio signal.
It seems like the microphone is picking up. It has a little micro fan in it. It sounds like the whole time the audio is just picking up all the noises the camera makes.
There's a setting you can click that will turn the fan off when you hit the record button.
That only works for so long. And then once the camera gets too hot, the fan will kick on even while recording. But we've been using that camera for all my videos lately, and I have a wireless lav that I use, so it's not even close to the camera and doesn't pick up that fan.
Yeah, this thing came with it. This looks like a little pom-pom. Came with it plugged in. I haven't tried it yet. No, but it's exciting, and I bought it because of you guys, so thank you for the inspiration.
I bought it because of David. So blame him.
Yeah, no, I got it. When you first talked about it, David, I was like, oh, I want one of those. Because I also started playing with the drone at the same time, and it's all the same type of technology.
Yeah. It's a really amazing gimbal on both of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
Later on.
Oh, I forgot what I was supposed to say.
What are you supposed to say?
I love you.